Before we started using Peer, we were looking at a number of challenges around the help desk, one of which was just how every time we onboarded 2 or 3 new customers, we were having to increase our headcount. More endpoints meant more staff to deliver a service, and as we started to look at how we grew more profitably, we wanted to look at how we could reduce that constant reliance on increasing the staff size. We also noticed that on some of the more repetitive tickets that we dealt with, there was a lot more room for human error. So for example, setting up new users, which should technically be a fairly straightforward process, was one of those processes where we got lots of feedback about little details being missed and errors being made. So we wanted a tool that was going to both automate the more sort of boring and repetitive tasks, really, to free staff up to be able to deal with the stuff that added greater value to our end users. That in turn meant enabling us to grow without always increasing headcount, and reducing the error of those repetitive tasks by taking the human element away from it. We chose Peer, and the onboarding process was so much better than we predicted. We thought it would be a sort of a 6-month piece of work with lots of challenges, but actually we got great support from the team. It felt really collaborative all the way through, and we were up and running within just a few weeks. Peer's had a big impact on our business. It's now involved in about 25% of our support tickets. So the 2 most noticeable impacts are, first, it's enabled us to grow without having to also grow our headcount. In fact, we've got a couple of less people involved on our help desk now than we did before, despite growing the number of endpoints that we support. And that's because we've been able to automate those repetitive tasks without having a human doing all of them. That has had real advantages for the people on our help desk too, because they have been able to focus their time on actually servicing customers in the area where human interaction makes a real difference. So they're not doing boring sort of next type support ticket clicking. That stuff is now being taken care of by Peer, and our people are able to actually focus on end user support. So that's been, a real advantage. The other advantage has been that we're closing those repetitive tickets much quicker. So we've actually seen an increase in our customer satisfaction rating, because things like new starter requests that previously had a 3-day lead time on our SLA are now being dealt with on the morning that the client requests them. So it's been a win-win, maybe even a triple win. It's increased profitability, it's increased satisfaction for our customers, but actually it's increased satisfaction for our support consultants too, because they're focusing on more interesting work. The feedback from both clients and our internal team since rolling out Peer Smart Forms has been really positive. I think with Smart Forms, the most obvious benefit is that we've put a much more modern frontline experience for our customers. So if I think particularly about requesting a new user, getting a new user set up right is, I think, the most important job of the help desk. It's the first impression that a member of staff in one of our client organisations gets of us. Whilst it is a repetitive process, it's actually one that is was previously prone to human error. We used to have a word-based form that clients had to fill in order to make sure that we captured every bit of detail that we needed to make sure that when we delivered a new starter, it was delivered with sort of as close to 100% accuracy as possible. Smart Forms has just put a much more intelligent front-end experience for that, so that the client Smart Form is much easier for them to complete. They can recall information. They don't have to repeat the information every time, because we can base it on a profile of user, or they can select a similar user that we've created historically and use that as a template. So the customer experience is more modern. It's quicker for them to complete, but in the back end, we're getting much more accurate information, so we're delivering that ticket much faster and with no errors. In a modern MSP, the use of automation, the use of robotics, the use of AI is absolutely essential in growing your organisation successfully. If you're on the fence about whether it's the right thing to do, I would just say absolutely go for it. If you're not looking at tools like this, I think you're compromising your ability to grow cost effectively, and I think you're actually doing your customers a disservice, because our experience, I think we had some initial concerns, would we dehumanise our process, but that's absolutely not been the customer experience at all. I think what end users have found is that the repetitive tasks that Peer can fix are not the ones where humans are adding a huge amount of value anyway, so they just want those tickets fixed quickly. That's freed up resource to be able to be spending time on the customers that really need that human interaction. So the process has been simple, it was easy to onboard, the team at Peer have been really collaborative. You know, in those early days we were going back saying it would be great if we could also have this, it would be great if we could always also have that, and our experience has been that the Peer team have been really reactive. So the product that we're using now is actually better than the product that we were using 12 months ago, and I dare say if you asked me in 12 months time I'd say exactly the same. It's evolving, it's been easy to use, easy to implement, and overall we're just a really happy client.